Your skills are your career currency. So, how do you use your skills to increase the value of your professional personal brand in the marketplace? Today, I want to talk about my 5 tips. Grab your cup of tea and let's dive into it. So, if your skills are the currency of your professional personal brand, this means that your core capabilities form the currency of your career overall. So, how much are you paying attention to the value of your skills, particularly in a ever evolving marketplace? For example, like any marketplace, certain assets tend to appreciate or depreciate depending on the market conditions. So think about your skills in the same way. Are they continuing to increase in value in the marketplace, or are they starting to be devalued in the marketplace? And how often are you taking stock of the skills that you have to offer and making improvements to the skills currency that you have to offer the marketplace? Your skills are one of the most critical assets that you possess. It allows you to earn money. It allows you to put food on the table, to pay the bills, to put clothes on your back, to enjoy the simple little pleasures in life or the bigger luxuries in life as well. So when you pay attention to your skills, then it allows you to increase your career capital. So let's dive into my tip number 1. My tip number 1 is skill stack and create complementary skills currencies. The skills that may have first gotten you in the door when it came to you starting off in your career may not necessarily still be the skills that the market is demanding. So how has this evolved? What are the current trends in your marketplace? What is the future of your marketplace looking like? And how does this relate to this skill set that you have to offer? Again, is this increasing in value or is this decreasing in value? There is an idea in economics called complementary products. These are products that are designed to be combined and add value when they go together. For example, this might be like a burger coming with a Coke. This might be your coffee machine and your coffee pods. It might be car insurance and the actual car itself. It might be a printer and the ink required for a printer, and so on and so on. So try and see your skill set in the same way. This is where skills stacking comes in. This is where you can combine your skills to add more value. How are your skills complementary to each other? What can you actively do to increase the complementary nature of your skills? For example, if you are a copywriter, then you could potentially also be an expert in SEO. And this is going to go really well together because you can not only provide really engaging copy for people's online communications, but you can win those jobs related to search engine optimization as well. They just naturally go really well together. And you can be an architect, for example, who is also qualified in interior design. You can be a video producer who also understands graphic design. Or if you're an executive in your career, for example, you might be a really talented public speaker, and this just goes naturally with some of those top level positions because you have more circumstances in which you'll have to do that. So ask yourself, what is the complementary skill set that the market is demanding? Because there is another concept in business and the competitive environment that relates to the threat of substitution. So if you are, for example, a really talented copywriter, but then your potential client is comparing you to someone who is a really talented copywriter and they also happen to be very talented in search engine optimization, then your service is more likely going to be able to be substituted by the other service provider. So think about this when it comes to your career. What can you do to elevate your complementary skills and really actively put effort into that space? And if you need some ideas about how to do this, then just follow the money. Where is the market spending their resources? Whether it is the employers that you would love to work for or the clients that you would love to have, who are the people that they are hiring? Who are the people that they are working with? What are the products or the services that they are selling? And understand the unique value that you can bring to the marketplace. The key here is the unique value, because you don't want to just copy exactly what the competition is doing. And that brings me to my tip number 2, which is to collect rare skills. So don't simply follow the masses, but provide something unique in the marketplace. So again, keeping with the currency theme, this is almost like having a collection of rare coins, or being able to offer that rare thing to the marketplace that they are looking for. Or maybe they didn't even realize that they wanted, but it is this exceptional complementary service that goes really well with your other services. And this is also related to almost having a niche when it comes to your professional personal brand. I think it's nice to have a bit of a mix, to have, that thing that people are really looking for in more of a higher total addressable market, but then also have those niche skills that is able to really give you that edge in the marketplace. Because when you have those rare skills, you are able to charge a premium for them. Again, this goes back to basic economics and supply, demand, and pricing within that as well. For example, if there is a really high supply of something in the marketplace, then that means that the price should be lower for that thing. However, if there is a really low supply of something in the marketplace, but there is a really high demand for that thing, then you are able to charge a premium because the demand is exceeding the supply. So think of your skills in the same way. How can you develop skills in a particular area that allows you to attract a premium price for that thing? Or if this is related to a potential employer, it allows you to attract a particular salary for that extra skill set that you have to offer the marketplace. Because this is going to increase the value of your professional personal brand overall. And this leads me into my tip number 3, which is to define your value and know your core capabilities. When I am working with professionals at all levels, including executives, I find that this is one of the areas where a lot of people will come undone. They aren't clear about the skills that they have to offer the marketplace. For example, they may completely understand their work history or their titles that they have had, but they are not clear on how that actually translates into skills that the marketplace is looking for. They're so used to relying on their title that they haven't taken the time to understand very clearly what those top skills are that they have to offer the marketplace. Which means that when you don't understand what your core capabilities are, then you can't continue to develop in that space in a really clear way, or you can't identify the areas for improvement that you have in that. So one of the things that I like to do is to try and picture your skill set as being, an offering that you might have on your own personal brand website. And if people were to have to pick the certain thing that they were looking for and pop that into a cart, how can you be really specific about what that skill set is? And of course, you don't have to actually do any of this, but this is just for you to get really clear in your mind how you are providing a skill that the marketplace is demanding and is willing to pay for. How can you actually articulate that in a really clear way? So think about your skill set as being a service in the marketplace. This almost comes back to the basic idea of bartering. So if you have something to offer a particular organization or a client and you want money in return for that thing, then what is that thing that you are offering in the marketplace? My tip number 4 is to increase your career capital. Your career capital is the combination of your skills, your reputation, and your impact. impact. So don't simply collect skills and expect to be increasing your career capital, because that's not necessarily going to increase your reputation and your impact. You could just be ticking the boxes and doing your job. What is going to increase your career capital is that influence that you are having in the industry, where you are engaging in really positive relationships to increase your reputation, where you are delivering the best work possible in your job to increase that credibility that you're having, when you think outside of the box to have an impact in your industry. All of these things are going to contribute to your career capital. And when you increase your career capital, you increase your buying power or your negotiating power. You essentially increase your leverage in your professional career. So make sure that you are actively increasing your career capital. Go above and beyond in your job to ensure that you are increasing your reputation and the impact that you're having. Aim for the ultimate in your customer satisfaction, whoever your customer might be, whether that is your employer or your actual customer if you work for yourself. Aim to over deliver wherever you can. And my tip number 5 is to invest in skills for future gain. Now again, this comes back to basic investing, is that sometimes you have to spend money to make money. Now think about this concept when it applies to your skills. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to actually spend money, but it might mean that you are spending time. So you are investing your time and therefore taking away from other areas into a particular skill set and developing your capabilities in that space. It might be that that means that you can't necessarily earn the money that you would normally be making in that time that you dedicate to that thing, but you are developing a skill set that is going to eventually have more value in the marketplace. So it means that you are prepared to just put things on hold for a minute or take a step back in order to be able to take a step forward. You are investing in future you and the skill set that future you needs. And sometimes those little steps that you take backwards in your career can create huge leaps forward in the future. I sometimes find that when people are progressing more and more in their careers, you can often get to this place where you might feel like you're a master in a particular thing. So you don't need to actively develop your skill set anymore, or you don't need to engage in the level of professional development that you may have committed to in your early career. But I truly believe that instead of thinking like any sort of expert or master in your industry, that it is more beneficial to always think of yourself as being a student. I used to have a teacher that used to use the phrase all the time, the more that you know, the more that you realize you don't know. And I know that this is a popular saying that a lot of people love to refer to. And it just means that the more that you become knowledgeable in one particular thing, the more you realize that there is so much more to that particular field, which means that if you are always staying a student, you are actively always developing your skills in that area, which means that you are always going to inevitably be ending up ahead of the competition when it comes to your career. And if you are taking a future focused perspective on your skill set, then you are going to be increasing your value in the marketplace, which means that for the people that work with you, you are going to offer a higher return on investment. If you want to learn more about building your personal brand for your work, then subscribe for more like this, and I'll see you in the next episode.